we're going to be talking about some interesting things today. As you guys can see in the title, Denver, New York City, and Chicago are done. The next up are Boston, Detroit, and St. Louis. All right. So we're going to hear it straight out of the horse's mouth as it pertains to Denver. And of course, we're going to do the same thing that we always do. We're going to ask some questions because a lot of times, a lot of stuff doesn't make sense. All right. Let's get it.
Now to the latest on the migrant crisis. The mayor saying today Denver is reaching a breaking point.
Meanwhile, thousands of migrants housed in city shelters tonight will have to start leaving on Monday. It's a process that will be long and hard, but according to the city, has to be done.
New tonight, Mayor Mike Johnston says the city is considering putting a pause on taking in more migrants in an interview with our news partners, 850 KOA.
So, as you guys can see here, the Denver mayor, Mike Johnston, is saying we're considering not taking in any more migrants. So if he's saying this, right, if the mayor of Denver is saying this, you got to ask yourself the question, what's going on with Eric Adams? What's going on with Brandon Johnson? Why are they not saying that? They're complaining about the amount of migrants that they're taking in, but they haven't said that they're not going to take any more in. So what's different here versus there? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.
Are considering it. We have to consider all options, particularly if there isn't any help from the federal government.
The statement comes after the city has now helped 38,275 migrants over the last year. Tonight, there are 3,895 staying in city shelters.
That's an incredible number of people to shelter, support, feed, help with transportation, deal with case management.
John Ewing with Health and Human Services for the city says the current operation is unsustainable. Starting on Monday, 150 migrants in city shelters will be discharged.
It's unsustainable. You guys know what that means. Shout out to James Sumler. It's unsustainable. You know what time it is.
Then that number will fluctuate between 50 to 100 every day until all 3,800 are out of the 10 shelters currently run by the city.
I hope the goal is that we were able to connect the vast majority of them with housing, or at least as.
So here's my question for anybody watching on the replay. Make sure you lead us in the comment section an answer to this. People have seen what's going on in Europe with the migrant crisis. People see what's going on in other cities with the migrant crisis, how this entire operation is unsustainable. My question for everybody is, why do these cities continue to try to manage this if the patterns show that it cannot be sustained? What's the end game? Make it make sense. And shout out to DC Precise. Yep, make sure anytime you guys hear unsustainable, you guys throw those unsustainable emojis in the chat. Shout out to you, DC Precise. Appreciate it, bro.
Many of them as we possibly can.
The number of migrants arriving in Denver is coming down. 48 yesterday, 64 today, significantly lower from the beginning of January, where that number was 200 to 300. The slowdown giving the city more capacity to help migrants already in shelters find a more permanent solution. But as Ewing put it, it will be an incredibly challenging effort.
4,000 people when you have limited budget, when you have limited resources, when there's very difficult to find enough housing as is, affordable housing as is in the city of Denver.
Speaking of affordable housing, we're definitely going to talk about affordable housing. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the stream. All right, because what you're going to find is that when it comes to most of these areas are already having an affordable housing crisis. However, the affordable housing crisis is not being dealt with, and all of those resources are being diverted directly to deal with the migrant crisis. So now here's my question for you guys. What happens to the people that need affordable housing? What ends up happening to those people? If they're not being assisted by the government with the affordable housing that the American taxpayers are paying their tax dollars into, and that money is being provided to fund aid for people who are not paying tax dollars, what's going to happen? That's my question. Shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 9 people watching and we got 6 likes. If everybody could smash that like button and get us to 10, that'd be great.
That's going to be difficult.
The city is still taking donations at the Richard T. Castro Human Services Center, but they are encouraging people who want to help to donate to the Newcomers Fund. Money goes directly to nonprofits who are supporting migrants. You can visit the city's website for more information.
All right, so there's that. All right, so as you guys can see, it's not just me saying it. They're saying it on the news. This thing is unsustainable. Denver is already starting to crack. All right, Denver is starting to split right down the middle, and it's going to continue to keep splitting down the middle. All right, so now how many people have heard about the squeegee worker issue? If you guys have heard about the squeegee worker issue, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't heard about the squeegee worker issue, give me a thumbs down. What we have is a situation like how the movies used to be back in the 80s. You guys remember back in the 80s in the movies when they would drive through a metropolitan area and the car would stop, and all of a sudden all these people would just come out of the cracks and come out of the crevices and jump onto your car with a squeegee and start squeegeeing your car? If you guys ever seen a movie where that happens at, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't seen a movie where that happens at, give me a thumbs down. You don't have to see it in the movies anymore because it's actually happening in real life now.
All new here at 9, the problem solvers are taking door.
So now this is what people need to understand. Now, because this situation is so bad in some areas, you can't even stop your car, because if you stop your car at a traffic light, a bunch of migrants will come out and start squeegeeing your car and then try to charge you for squeegeeing the car. It's literally just like back in the days when the crackheads will come out and do it. You can see that portrayed in a lot of different movies. And else that specifically come from as a problem as a result of the migrant crisis. So now what's interesting about this is that when it comes to the migrant crisis, the Democrats have framed this migrant crisis or migrant influx or whatever you want to call it as something that's supposedly quote unquote helping the United States economy. Now, this is what I want you guys to do for me in the comment section. In the comment section, I want you guys to list all of the things that the migrant crisis has helped us with, and then I want you guys to list all of the things that the migrant crisis has caused problems with. All right, so let me know. Let's put up here for problems: crime, unknown illnesses, taking the tax dollars. Most of these cities that have this migrant influx, sanctuary cities where they're receiving all of these migrants, they've cut the budget on many of the programs, not even social programs, but just regular programs for the citizens. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says theft, prostitution, pickpocketing, DUIs, turning public parks and places into porta potties. Facts. Closing down schools. Facts. If you guys agree with all of those things that DC Precise and Carlton Way just listed, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Now, is there anything that this migrant crisis has done that's improved anything that we have going on here? So there's that. All right. So now, again, we're going to take another look at what's going on with this squeegee crisis. All right. Shout out to Patricia Slade. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says lowering of wages offered by employers by creating a buyer's market for businesses seeking employees. Facts. Patricia says they have been doing this for years. It was blacks and whites. Now it's migrants doing it. Let's see how they stop them or arrest them. Hands off. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That'll be interesting how that works. So if you guys agree with what Black Free Thinker put in the comment section, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. So nobody wants to be dealing with these squeegee people in the middle of the street. I mean, it sets up a bad situation for traffic. You know what I'm saying? You could end up messing around and hitting one of these people by accident. Next thing you know, you're getting sued. All your hard work and money that you spent, just like the taxpayer dollars, is going to end up going to somebody who didn't work for it. Ridiculous.
In Denver, a growing safety concern and a potential nuisance. We've started to see a trend of people offering to wash your windshield while you're driving. In some cases, people have become so insistent they refuse to take no for an answer. Your reporter, Ashley Portillo, joins us live tonight to talk more on this national.
So now I want you guys to see. You see what this news lady said? She said that they're aggressive with it. They're aggressive with the squeegee cleaning. So even if they get told no, they're saying, go ahead and do it anyway. We're going to go ahead and do it anyway, and then we're going to try to charge you. That's going to create a situation where you're going to have people possibly getting into it. We already have a situation here in the United States where there's a lot of road rage that goes on. So imagine road rage compiled with this. Make that make sense. Not going to be good.
Actually, we see this in a lot of larger cities out on the East Coast mainly. It can create a hazard.
And Karen, it certainly can. So earlier today, I was also speaking with a local resident who did tell me that he actually made a stop at a red light recently. That's when a large group of migrants had swarmed his vehicle trying to clean his windshield. He said in that moment, he felt unsafe. But earlier today, I was also...
Let me ask you guys a question. If that happened to you guys, if you stopped at a red light and a bunch of migrants that don't speak English with wielding a bunch of squeegees just swarmed your car, would you feel safe? Would that make you feel safe? If that would make you feel safe, then give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make you feel safe, then give me a thumbs down.
Speaking with a migrant who said this is something they have to do simply to survive.
From cleaning windshields to selling stuffed animals and other items, many migrants are doing anything they can to make a few dollars.
We don't have a way to get an apartment. What do? We have kids.
Yeah.
For this mom and her family, there's no...
Yeah, exactly. I had just mentioned that, Mofax. Shout out to Mofax. I had literally just mentioned that. Mofax said, remember when aggressive squeegee bums was a punchline in the 80s, 90s movies? Yeah. What movie was that? I think I'ma Get You Sucker had the squeegee people in it. I think New Jack City had the squeegee people in it. Almost all those movies used to have the almost all those old school movies used to have the squeegee people in it.
other choice. She's one of the many newly arriving migrants who are not authorized to work in the U.S.
That's why we're looking for ways to make money, because since we don't have jobs or anything, we start selling things to be able to resolve it.
John Ewing with Denver Human Services says he and city staff have also seen the increase in migrants crowding intersections, even on a chilly day.
On one hand, we respect that. We understand it. We know that's going to happen regardless.
But on the other hand, he said it's also a safety concern for everyone.
We worry about them being exploited. We worry about, obviously we worry about traffic and safety and everything along those lines. We want to see more expanded work authorization. We want the ability for these people to be able to find jobs.
So now, again, what happens when they do create jobs and there's more migrants that keep coming and all of those jobs that they quote unquote create get filled up and there's still more migrants coming? All of this talk about jobs is not a way of going about this. I don't know what think tank came up with that talking point about jobs, but whoever came up with that talking point, they came up with that talking point as a strategy to divert away from the increasing amount of people that keeps coming, because you're not going to be able to create the amount of jobs to sustain the increase in people that keep coming over the southern border. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. Our economy isn't even that big for us to be able to do that. I don't even think as big as China's economy is, they could do that. Nobody can do that. It's impossible unless we're literally creating an industry that has hundreds of thousands of jobs every single day to accommodate the hundreds of thousands of people that are coming in every month. It's not going to happen. Mathematically, it's very simple. It's just not going to happen. It's not sustainable in any way that you look at it. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 14 people watching and 10 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 20, that would be great.
Paid regularly, and we know that they want to work.
And as more migrants arrive, expect to continue seeing efforts from migrants to make some money.
We just want to give them the fighting chance to do that, but we're limited with what we can do.
And the Denver Police Department also did mention that they are aware of this situation in a statement. They also did say that this could result in a citation. People could also face charges of soliciting or aggressive panhandling.
So now they're going to face charges, but what are they going to do? They're going to face charges, and then what? They're going to face charges, and then what? How are you going to prosecute these people in a sanctuary city? So these threats of them, quote unquote, facing charges, it's an empty threat. If you guys agree that that's an empty threat, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
But the goal of the department, they mentioned, is to not cite these migrants. Instead, they want to work closely with them and communicate with them.
There you go. I mean, they're not even as you can see, according to the news lady here, she's putting it out there. They really don't even want to give these migrants any consequences. They want to work with them. Work with them on what? They broke the law to come into the country. They're here in the country. Now they're breaking the law. They're breaking commerce laws by doing this panhandling. They'll arrest an American bum for panhandling without a panhandling license. These people are undocumented. They don't even have a panhandling license, and they're letting them panhandle. Like,
soliciting or aggressive panhandling. But the goal of the department, they mentioned, is to not cite these migrants. Instead, they want to work closely with them and communicate with them about the safety concerns that this could pose if it continues to happen here in the community.